Okay, hello everybody. So we are going to look today at how you can create a spreadsheet and track your exercise and food intake. Try and make sure some of you are staying healthy. So we're going to use this using Google Sheets. You don't have to use Google Sheets. You could use Excel or anything like that if you're not online. So what we want to understand by the end of it, you know how to use a spreadsheet, you know how to do some simple calculations and change the appearance of a cell, which we call formatting a cell. You should also know some of the ways food can be categorized. So if we pop into the spreadsheet now, this is what we're going to create. So we're going to have some titles across our columns here. So a column, remember, is something that runs vertically and our rows run horizontally like so. We're going to be looking at the date, the carbohydrates you take in, so that's things like pastas, chips, rice, proteins you take in, so your meats, fresh fruit and veg, you could put these in one if you want, your sugars, don't forget your sugary drinks, and fats, things like crisps. We also want you to look at the amount of sleep you're having each night and the exercise you do. We're going to work out how much exercise you do per week. We can total this down here. And your target is going to be to just try and keep and maintain or improve on the amount of exercise you're doing each week. So let's look at how we create this. So if I was coming into a new sheet, I'd give it a title up here. So I'm just going to call this Fitness Tracker. You can call it whatever you want. Remember, link this to the Google Classroom so we can see it. So I want some titles along the top here. I'm not too worried about how they look at the moment. So I was going to start with date, then carbs. Let's get some protein, fruit and veg, sugars, and you know what? I'm going to go sugars and fats together. Okay, now I want total sleep and exercise. Oh, I'm going to go type and exercise time. Okay, so now we're going to do some formatting. First thing we're going to do, we're going to put some dates in, and Sheets helps us out. We can do some clever things here. So just check what the date is. So you're going to start on the 27th. Now, my Sheets was set up when I lived in America, so everything's the wrong way round, which means I have to put my dates in an American format. You don't have to. So I have to go month, then day, then year. Okay, so that's a date in there in American format. Remember, you put yours in English format. I'm going to go here. I'm going to format. I'm going to go into number, and I'm going to format the date. So it's going to say this option here. And there we go, hey presto. Now, I can stretch these around like this, or if I just hover there, double click, it'll do that. Now, the next clever thing, if I grab this little square here, and I drag this down, it will copy the dates down for me. And again, I can just stretch that out like that. Okay, carbs, I'm not going to fill in too much now. Now, I want to look at this on a weekly basis. So if I go Monday to Sunday, I'm going to put some exercise times in here just so we can see how this works. Now, at the moment, you're just going to enter total amounts of minutes. We're going to look. So if I did an hour and 10 minutes or an hour and a half of exercise, I'd enter that as 90. We'll look at how we can do this in hours and seconds and minutes later on, not in this lesson. So let's just put some dates in, some numbers in, sorry. And down to Sunday and just 10 there. Now, what I'm going to do in here, I'm going to total this column in this cell. Remember, column, row, and cell. So I'm going to put the equal sign. As soon as I put the equal sign, a spreadsheet knows I want to talk about a formula. I'm going to open some brackets or parentheses. Actually, I'm going to go equal sum, open the brackets. Now, if I click and I drag and I select that whole range and then I close the brackets. Now it's important, I've not gone from cell H2 plus H8. This colon here means I'm making a sum of that whole range. So there's the sum of that whole range there. Remember, I wanted to go from Monday to Sunday. Just so this number makes some sense to me, I'm going to write the word total for week here. So that makes a little bit of sense to me. Now, I want to make this look a little bit better. So I'm going to, first of all, put this in a grid. So I'm going to put a board around it like that. I'm going to stretch this down a bit. I am going to just align these a bit. So I'm going to center them, and I'm going to just line them up. Okay, I'm going to make these nice and bold and highlight this row and make it bold. Oh, bold it again. I'm going to delete these two things. You'll see why in a moment. Now, just to help my presentation a bit, I'm going to highlight, I'm just going to use some fill colors here. Tend to find when you're using fill colors, don't go for the really bright colors. Go for the fainter ones, they look better. Just to help my format out a bit, I'm going to make these nice and bold. I'm actually just pressing Shift and B on my keyboard just to bold those. I might just, as I want those to stand out a little bit more, just increase the size of those a little bit, okay? And I might just put a border around those as well. Remember, back to the border here. Okay, so you guys can go through filling in all the information here. Okay, so let's just make an example. So I was also going to put the type of exercise. So that could be running, that could be cycling, it could be you did a Joe Wicks YouTube video. My kids are doing those at the moment. You might have just done some floor weights, whatever you've been doing. Okay, now your challenge is to make sure you're doing something each day. And also, you can challenge yourself week after week to get fitter and fitter here, to be able to do more exercise. Now let's look at sleep. So you guys should be aiming for 8 hours sleep a night. But this is what commonly happens. One night you'll stay up late, you'll get 5 hours sleep, say, or even less. Next day you'll end up sleeping and you'll go into 11, and you will go into this sort of routine here. So one of the things we want you to look at here as well is just trying to even this out a bit. We appreciate times are different. You probably are staying up late, but try not to slip into that sort of routine of bouncing between long sleep and short sleep cycle. One of the biggest differences between professional athletes and amateur athletes is professional athletes have got themselves to a point where they have sponsorships. They don't have to go to work. That means, and I know this because I used to be a professional athlete, it means that when we do our exercise in the morning, essentially we go back to bed and we actually go to sleep in the daytime. Remember, it's the sleep that helps us recover from the exercise. Okay, so just to flip back to what we were trying to learn there. So you should now know how to make a spreadsheet, track your food, your exercise and food intake. In that spreadsheet, remember, formatting a cell was to change the color, change what it does, change the format. Why we changed a number to how we wanted it to tell us the date. A cell is just one of those little squares. You've got your rows, your columns. You should also know how to categorize some of your food. Okay, thanks guys, good luck with it. Don't forget to upload it to Google Classroom.